Hello, everybody. This is Money Mom. Welcome back to the channel. And I am here today with one of my dear friends and fellow YouTubers, Jan from New York City Saves Money.
Hi,
And
everybody. Hi, Dawn.
hi there, sweetheart. And today I thought we would talk about an important topic that may be dear to many of our hearts going on right now. And it's money worries or money stress and what can we do about it? I did some research before beginning this video, and 77% of Americans are worried about money, worried about finances, and worried about their future. I thought this needs to be addressed, and it would be a fantastic discussion to have, not only with Jan, but with all of you fabulous folks. And so before beginning on a few things I want to discuss, I want to introduce Jan. Many of you already know Jan from New York City Saves Money. I wanted to briefly introduce her, have her tell you a little bit about the channel, and then I'm going to begin with number one, what we're going to chat about next. Go ahead, Jan.
Dawn, I want to thank you so much for having me here and the honor, absolute honor, to be a co host to your new show. And we're actually going to share the show, so to speak. For example, this month I'll be on Dawn's channel. The following month will be on my channel. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. Getting briefly into what my channel's mission is about, I offer a lot of quick tips for saving money, time, effort, energy, and even once in a great while, sanity. That's the way I look at it. Just me. I'm a former school teacher. Well, you and I have that in common, Dawn. Both of
Yes.
us. I did radio in the past. I love people, and I love to offer simple, quick tips. But my main mission for my channel is to encourage the person or persons, anyone who believes they cannot save. That makes me sad to think that there are people who think they cannot save. I believe it has to do with a little bit of a lack of confidence, but I could go on and on about my channel. But right now, we're here to talk about other stuff. And you were about to say something.
Well, you know what? By the way, guys, I'm a little new to doing this, so please give us some grace. And so, that being said, one of the things before beginning is each month we're going to do a different topic, maybe something trending going on right now. And hopefully, what I want to do with these is take the reins back into our life as saying, we have the power. What can we do about this? What are some actionable steps that we can take to make things better for us and our community? And so, that being said, I'm going to start with number one, and I'm going to address it to Jan. I know, by the way, guys, sometimes because I have the gift to gab, that I can monopolize the conversation. So I will make sure to give Jan, because she has so many great ideas, plenty of time to talk. First thing I want to say is, Jan, what do you see as common money worries, especially now, maybe even in the past? What are some common money worries that you see people having?
One of them is the fear of being in a situation, which is a rightful fear, but don't live in the fear. It should be a concern. Sudden income loss. That is, I mean, that's a very real concern for many of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, we know in our minds that we should have an emergency fund in place. No one has to twist anyone's arm about that. We know it. But some of us, for whatever the reason, maybe lack of confidence, like I said earlier, do not put a simple plan in place for such times. So always knowing that in the back of your mind, whomever is watching that might be going through that can be really stressful.
I think you're right. And one of the things that I see, and I was talking about what are some common money worries, is I think that also health concerns, and people will worry about the future. But when we're fearful, many times it can paralyze us where we don't do anything and we don't take any action steps. And what I see happening is, you've got people of all income levels. You may have one person over here that maybe they make 15,000 a year. You've got someone else making 100,000 a year. Now, we don't know what the bills are of each of those folks, right? They may live in different places, but many times when people are on a smaller income, they really think that they just can't save anything. and they just don't prepare. And some people will just think, well, it will take care of itself. And so I kind of see that happening too. What do you think?
Absolutely. Sometimes it's just easier to delay things, defer things, pretend it's, not in existence. Oh, maybe it'll just go away like a bad tooth. But ever notice something about a bad tooth that has a way of coming back and reminding you it's still a bad tooth?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you can put some of the Oragel or whatever that is on it, and it goes away for a little bit, but you're right, it does come back. But
Yes.
what else do you see as maybe some money worries? I wrote a few ideas down myself,
Oh,
but
please go on and mention those. I'd love to hear it.
well, one thing is think about this, and I've read this in a book, and it really hit home. I've known of people that are not healthy that work. For example, let's say you have a hard time standing all day. So there's going to be many jobs that you wouldn't be able to do because of that, but you can work from home and maybe sit at a desk. That might be a possibility. But one big thing that I think folks worry about is inability to work. For example, I've known of people that work until they're in their 90s. And then I've known some folks that have to, retire early because of health. Every person is an individual. That's why I always say it's personal finance, but inability to work and bring in income. I do think this, not knowing someone's individual situation, I think that many people can work, and there's always a way to make money in most situations. Even if there is a health situation going on, there are most likely options of ways that you can make money. But me saying that, I don't know the individual person's thing, money. So not just losing your job and money worries, but also inability to work, maybe due to health or having to care for a family member. Would you
Uh-huh.
say?
I love the way you use. There's a word you use that I didn't expect to hear, and I'm so glad that I did. Options. Keep your options open. Recently, I aired a video of a specific situation that occurred to me on Valentine's Day, 1997. With Valentine's Day fast approaching, I can't help but remember that day. Let me just condense the story. Sudden job loss, unexpected. Perfect employee, perfect attendance, never late, worked for a major hospital, for a major physician, everything a-okay, everybody loved me. One of those situations. And yet and still, the department had issues and was reconfigured, and 7 people were suddenly laid off, including me that day, that Valentine's Day. It was not very fun, but there's a moral to telling the story. I had an emergency fund in place. So for myself personally, and at that time and point, my daughter was still young. So, you have a young child, you got to pay your bills. I am just so grateful that I had my 6 month emergency fund in place, which was pretty phenomenal for a person of that age bracket. But thankfully, I was taught some really good fundamentals and stuff like that. But anyone can do this. If you don't even have it at all, start at least having 1 month of emergency funding. But that's another show, and we could get into that in
Yeah,
another
exactly.
show.
I think that would make another show. And I do want to share something personal with you guys that I've never shared on YouTube. I was 23 years young when I moved to Dallas from St. Paul, Minneapolis. You guys know I'm from Minnesota. And I had a teaching job, but the particular school I was at closed. It was a private school, and it didn't alert anybody it was closing. Well, guess what? Now, I hadn't been in Dallas that long. I had no emergency fund and no job. And so my dad, and it was the first time ever, he actually helped me out for 1 month, but it only took me like a week, 2 weeks to get a new teaching job, which was good, but I didn't have any emergency funds. So definitely. One other thing that I see people worrying about, and Jan, you talk about on your channel, there's a lot of videos out there. That's the beauty of YouTube, is not being able to go to the store and get some of the items that you want. So being worried about not having what you need, whether it's food, personal care products, that would be some other reason that I think people worry. And what do you think, Jan?
Absolutely. If you notice behind me, you see a stockpile. This is not my personal actual stockpile. This is a dear friend of mine's stockpile, and I borrowed their picture. As my folks know on my channel, I am a work in progress. I always often joke, Dawn, about this time, a toddler at this. Well, recently I graduated to the kindergarten stage. I'm not a toddler at it anymore. But I started my stockpile, and this could give a person a sense of security. I started my stockpile in August of 2021. And someone said to me, well, how do you start a stockpile? And I'll always and forever give the same answer: one can at a time. And every
I love
single
that.
haul, oh, thank you. Every single haul, I would take X number of dollars, put that on the side on purpose, and each haul, just bills and bills. I wanted to eventually look like the one behind me. This is why I put this specific one up for this show today. That's my goal. I want to have enough in place. I'm a family of one. I want to have enough in place for a year. Do I need a 3-year thing? No. 1 year is my personal goal. And I'm going to hit that goal. For anyone could start a stockpile. Even if a person, it doesn't have the greatest income, start it one can at a time.
You could just buy one extra thing a week.
Yes, something, Dawn, it's just a psychological thing. I can't explain it. It's just so nice to know that that is there. It's a beginning of the empowerment, and you can do it.
And like we mentioned before, it just starts off with baby steps. I know, by the way, guys, there are always things to be worried about in life, right? But we know if we're worried and we don't take action steps, then it's going to get worse, as we would say. But that being said, one of the things that I want to just get right into, we know there's money worries out there. What can we actually do about if we're worried about our financial future, if we're worried about job loss, not having enough, our health, if we have some concerns and worries and whatever, what can we do about it? What would you say, Jan?
Well, I know that you're using the term worry, and I don't want to trip over your words because they're your words. Janet, personally, me, I swap the word out. It's like, for example, I don't like the sound of the word worry. I would rather swap it out to concern. This is my opinion. I could be wrong, but it's my opinion because it's all how you kind of look at it. Worry feels like you're just like stuck in somewhere. No, I'm concerned, but I'm not going to live in the land of worry. I'm concerned, but I feel better right now because I have a stockpile growing.
Every little thing you can do is positive. You're right, though. Yes. But you did bring up a good point. Some people have concerns, but then some people have worries, and then you could have different levels of concern and worry, if that makes sense. But I do think it depends on a variety of factors. So
absolutely. I mean, like I said, I'm a family of one. Somebody with a family of 4 going through, job loss, stuff like it. It's all relevant to your situation.
That's true. And I think it could be relevant of where you live. Like I have some people that I know that they live with an entire family. You've got grandparents living there, things like that. And so everybody's contributing. And so it depends on the situation. And then I have another friend that's single. And so she's kind of a lone ranger. And so it depends on your situation and what your worries are. But your first bit of advice is to have a stockpile, right? That would be your
first bit of advice is to stop worrying and get familiar with your numbers. One of the biggest problems, in my opinion, Dawn, and I think you tend to agree, when you have your spending plan, some people call it a budget, some people call it spending. Either way, it's the same actual thing. Instead of living in the land of the lost, land of the dark, I don't want to look at it. By avoidance, in my opinion, it makes matters a whole lot worse. So you look at your numbers and you realize, hey, what can I do I want to show you something. What can I do to fix this? 2022, and I still love this thing. I don't know if you could see it.
Yes. What is it? I'm kidding.
My calculator. I mean, 2022, and I still use a manual calculator. 2022, I still prefer working with what I call my trusty notebooks. Whatever method that works for you, if you prefer that, or if you prefer those, dollar, what do you call that? Every dollar counts app, the one that,
Yes, I know what you mean.
yeah, I
I think
still
it's
do
just
it.
called every dollar.
Every dollar. I still do it the old fashioned way. It's called Janet watches her every dollar.
Exactly. But you're right about that. And I didn't even think about this until you brought it up. A lot of folks don't even know how much money they're making,
Yeah.
and they don't know how much money is going out every month. That's going to be your first thing, is to look at all your bills and your debts, figure
Right.
out what your average income is, and figure
Yes.
out where you're at first. What do you have in your accounts? What do you actually
Yes.
have? And look at that. That would be your very first thing that I would
Yes.
think. Once you know, you can then make some decisions, right?
Absolutely.
You know, and one other thing I want to say that people can do, and I've mentioned this, is if you can, and I'm not a big proponent in just cutting, 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 cutting. But if you are in a situation where maybe you think you might get laid off in a few months, I think that is a time to maybe make some cuts and see if you can keep your bills low, because a lot of people, at least I know I have a lot of fluff in their budget. And there are a lot of things we can cut, and many of the things we can cut, we may not even get that much value out of, like a gym membership you never use, things like that. So, I think going through and working your budget and I have different budgets. I have like a bare bones, I used to be on the platinum plan, then gold, then silver, okay, then bronze, and then I have bare bones. I can actually have 5 different budgets. That might be a little much, but you could have 2 different budgets. What do you think of that idea?
I think it sounds like a future show. I think there are so many elements, when it comes to financials. The main thing is to not worry. Take an afternoon when this is what I tell a lot of times. Take some time for yourself or your partner. I mean, whoever you sit down and both of you are together, or it's just you. A quiet afternoon free of distraction. If you have to unplug your phone and assess, well,
Yes.
what is coming in, what is going out. I cannot believe how many people, they put their bills on auto pay and they completely forget to ever check their account. Some people have had increases in their bills. They never look at their statements. Where's the money going?
Or
You
there could
have to
be a
get
mistake,
familiar.
or you could get double billed or things. And I've known of folks that have
Yes.
happened, or maybe something doesn't come out of your account. I don't like to have auto pay myself. Now, I do have some bills put on my a charge card, but then I manage and I see what's coming in. But I check my accounts, I would say, every day. That's me, but everyone has to do what they feel comfortable with. But want to know one thing people can do that's going to help relieve? Obviously, know what's going in and going out. See if you can reallocate your budget. We just talked about that. Have some kind of stockpile, backup plan. 2 other things we can address is, and one of them, I definitely am pointing the finger at me, but one of them is the beauty of the side hustle and different ways to make money, not having all your eggs in one basket.
Absolutely.
You know,
John,
having different ways.
may I add a story, a real life story?
Sure, go for it.
I know of someone, a very, very sweet person. They were happily married forever. This person was happily married, but the husband wanted to take complete control of the financials and never, ever, ever let his wife in on it at all. And she was kind of complacent about it. She was okay with it, like, let him do it. He left the world suddenly, if you will. She didn't even know how to write a check out. She didn't know how to create a check. She never
Hmm.
balanced a checkbook. Anyone who is not familiar with their budget or how to do certain things, it's okay. No one's judging, but do ask and do learn. The resources are out there. I'm so proud of everyone who tunes in, for example, to your channel, Dawn. We get a lot of important information from you all the time.
Oh God,
You're an example.
the community. You and I could
Yeah.
just do a 1 hour show talking about how great the community is. But you
Yes,
know what? We have some folks that come to our channels that might be beginners in some areas. And then we have
absolutely.
some folks that I think should do their own channel that have way more knowledge. Don't take this wrong towards you, than you and I. So
Absolutely, of course.
it's good. But I do think making extra money and finding different ways, because that's why I do different things. That way, if one well dries up, so let's say at your job, your hours got cut. Let's say you're used to overtime. You're used to working 50 hours. You're used to that check. They no longer have the overtime. You still have your job. So now you're making about $800 less a month, for example. Well,
Nice.
what can you do? Maybe you can start a YouTube channel. You can sell things. You can babysit on the side. You can pass out samples like me, things like that. There's so many different ways. But this way, I like the beauty of having different ways of making money. I think it's really good.
Again, it goes back to choices and it goes back to options. The choices and the options are there for the taking.
Exactly. I do. And one last thing I'm going to add to something else we can do is, and we've talked about this, whatever we can do to take care of our health. This is an area that I definitely can improve on, is doing things to take care of us. One of the best ways we can take care of our health, neither Jan or I are medical professionals. We're not giving advice. We're saying from our personal experience, is uh, reducing stress and spending time with like-minded people that we can bring one another joy. Honestly, I think that's a huge part of health, mental health at least. What do you think, Jan?
I totally agree. And by becoming empowered and becoming familiar with our budgets, you see, a lot of people are afraid of their budgets. They let the money control them. We can control it. And this will in turn make us feel more relaxed and not obsess over it, and the stress level decreases.
I definitely think so. But I mean, honestly, and I can say this for myself, and I'm just going to bring this up, and I brought it up before, is I know that I brought a lot of stress on myself by eating way too much food. I'm not going to point out and my dad even said this. He doesn't label, and my dad's never been overweight. He doesn't label foods as bad or good, but eating too much, being too sedentary, sitting around worrying and not doing things. And I'm going to give you one example on this. For years, I was so worried about my foundation. You guys know I pay cash for it. It was like $6,050. Now that's a lot of money to some, but I kept putting it off, and I kept trying to put a Band-Aid on it by putting, sand up against the house, soaker hoses, but it wasn't taking care of the issue. I finally got it done, and it wasn't as bad. I was worried it was going to be $20,000 and it would wipe out any money that we had. One of the things that I'm going to say about worries, if you're afraid, and this is a worry, and I forgot to mention this, you're worried that something's going to cost way more than what you can afford. That's probably one of my biggest worries, is that if I need to take care of something, whether it's dental, foundation, a major house repair, I'm afraid that it's going to be wipe out my savings or be way more way more costly than what I can afford. And what I want to say on that is, and one of my friends told me this, at least get the information. So let's say you need some dental work, find out what all your options are. Doesn't mean you got to do everything at once and spend. If the dentist says, well, your dental work's going to be 10,000, it doesn't mean you have to do all that. You can go to another dentist, you can go to a dental school, you can say, that's out of my budget. What can I do temporarily? There's, like you said, what did you say at the beginning of the show, Jan? Options.
Options.
You know, I think that many of us, including myself, sometimes get paralyzed in fear. We don't realize the community that we have and all of the options, which brings me to number 3. How can we build a positive community with like-minded people?
Okay. The beauty part is that right now we're on one of the greatest platforms on planet Earth. And I really feel that way. There are so many ways to outreach. There are so many videos. Ask questions, put the questions out there, look for specific videos, join certain groups on other platforms, including like-minded people. If you don't find what you're exactly looking for, maybe you should start your own group.
I
You
love
never
that.
know. You never know.
I love that. Jan, if you were to start a group, let's say you could start a group right now. What kind of group would you start?
I already do. I have a group. It's not a financial, it's a music group. I have two
Oh,
of
you
them.
do. So you do, yeah, 'cause you love music. That sounds good. You know what? I agree with you guys on that. And I think that is so well said. I used to be in a coupon group and I was an extreme couponer. Now I didn't have 5,000 cake mixes or anything. I was on a smaller scale, but people would come to my house once a month to my coupon club, and we would share coupons and money saving ideas. We'd shop together, things like that. And we'd look out for each other. Like I'd find out, hey, Jan eats this certain cereal. And I might be at a store and go, oh my gosh, they got it on clearance and I got coupons. I can get it for 10 cents a box. And I'd pick up Jan some of these and we'd share with each other. And then we'd share clothes with one another and books. It was great. I mean, I love a community like that. Now we're here virtually, so it's a little bit different, but we can share ideas.
That's
That's
right.
what I love.
That's the beauty part of the comments section below. And I know that you're going to invite folks to, if they have any, contribution to what can we do to remain empowered? What can we do to remain knowledgeable? What fears do we have over these concerns? I think that would really be great.
And I mean, it's good that we addressed what many fears are, and there's probably way more than what I put. I think it's good to discuss it, but I love the idea of what can we do about it and how can the community help? How can we support one another? One thing I'm going to say that we can do to support each other and something not to do is not compare our situation. Everybody has different size families. Everyone has different health. That's why I'm always saying personal finance. And that's why, like, when I do videos about, hey, look at the great deals I got, I realize that every person is living somewhere differently and we're each in a different situation, and not comparing one another, because we're all different, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I know that I've gone longer. This is one of my first ones. You guys know I don't normally do these, but I had a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it, Jan, and community.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I'm going to wrap up by saying this. I want to ask Jan, do you have anything else you would like to add to this entire important discussion?
Yes, don't worry. It's a concern. Get empowerment, get information, and the most important thing, do not be afraid of your own budget or spending plan. Sit down on a nice quiet afternoon, put on some nice music, make a cup of tea, block the phone off, free of distraction, and look at your numbers. You can fix things. We're going to talk a whole bunch about stuff like this one time a month. One time on Dawn's channel, another time on my channel. We have a lot to look forward to, don't we, Dawn?
I think we do. And we're going to talk about a variety of topics, not just this. And guys, as Jan and I go on, I think I'll get better and better at this. I don't have a
great job.
We're having fun.
You did a great job.
The main thing that I want, and I'm going to end with saying this, is that no matter what we're talking about, whether it's health, saving money, making money, any discussion that we have, stockpiling, all of that, with all of us working together, thousands of people coming together on YouTube, millions, trillions, or whatever, coming on YouTube, everybody has ideas. And if we can all work together and share those ideas, just imagine we all may learn things that we can actually implement in our own life. So I'm going to end with saying that. But Jan, I want to say thank you very much for taking your valuable time coming on here and having this wonderful discussion. And thank you, community, for all your comments and ideas. So we'll see you guys on the next one. I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast. I just want to say I love you. I appreciate you. And Jan and I will see you on the next video. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.